Happy morning to everybody. A great afternoon and a great evening. We're all here once again to meditate together, to soak into the energies of ourselves, discovering the energy field through meditation, and discovering our greater self through meditation. We have, in week 1, we've learned the intricacies of meditation, what happens, how to do, what benefits, what experiences, what is meditation, what's not meditation. I think that's very important, that especially what is meditation, not meditation. So we covered those. And all the recordings are there on YouTube for sure. PMC Valley in the YouTube. If you search, then all the recordings are there in a playlist. Now week 2, then once we understood the meditation, week 2, we learned about how meditation is helping us gain radiant health in the body and a sound mind, 2 aspects of it. The memory power aspect of it for functioning. If I take up something, how can I be successful? So we understood a lot around the memory powers of the mind. We've not understood the emotional aspect of the mind, but we've covered completely around the meditation, its powers of mind, its learning abilities, because we all can become the genius. We are geniuses. So we understood in the second week about health, energy, and memory powers as a way to boost our performance in whatever we do. And today onwards, this week is dedicated for now, how do I, from performance, I succeed, but how do I manifest things? One is about letting my my system to function most naturally. Using the technique of meditation, I'm letting my body function naturally. I'm building up energies naturally because we stop doing unwanted things in many, many ways. And then just the meditation practice is not letting the thoughts interfere, so the mind starts improving its powers. But this week on, is we're going to apply the quantum physics principles of thoughts create reality. So how do I go a jump up? How do I understand when we say we have any amount of potential? So how do I take that and then apply it in whatever that I want? How do I manifest? How can I heal if I have paralysis, how do I heal? If I have this recurring chronic backache, how do I heal? I've started my business. How can I see excellent results in the business? I lost a job during this COVID time. How do I again go and then find my dream job? I have this innate desire to know myself. So I want to go and then understand deeply about myself. Whatever that may be. Thoughts create things. Thoughts create reality. This is the principle that we're going to dwell deeper and understand this in more detail, called manifestation science. Very important, right? As business professionals, we all have our goals, and then we want to achieve the goals in any dimension. So friends, before that, today being a Tuesday, we'll have a little longer class session, first session on this. So before that, let's go into our meditation practice. We are following breath mindfulness meditation, which is Anapanasati. Anapanasati Vipassana is the full word for it. Anapanasati and Vipassana is in Pali language, means Ana is in breath, Apana is out breath, Sati is to be with the in breath and the out breath. Anapanasati, and Vipassana is the final stage of seeing through not through a physical body, but seeing through the third eye, or the ability to connect into that our deeper inner self, and then experience various things that we get through that meditation. So Anapanasati is the observing our in-breath and the out-breath, natural normal breath. And Vipassana, prior to that, you have Bhavopasana, Kayopasana, all of those stages we cross, and then we go into the Vipassana, which is the seeing, true seeing. But needless to say, the simple meditation, we're calling it Anapanasati, or breath mindfulness meditation, where we observe our normal, natural breath. We are mindful of our breath. And what breath? Normal, natural breath. No forceful inhalation, no forceful exhalation. And what is the goal? The goal is to empty the mind. When we empty the mind, we do this Vipassana. That's true seeing happens when we empty the mind. We are body, mind, energy complex. I'm simplifying while we are many, many bodies. We are body, mind, energy complex. And then we rest the mind. When we rest the mind, we experience that energy, or that quantum field of infinite potentiality, that total emptiness that is out there. So in meditation, we want to rest the mind. And resting the mind, Gautama Buddha discovered this beautiful technique called Anapanasati, which is very, very popularized quite a bit extensively by my master, Brahmashi Patriji, founder of PSS movement. And then we are learning that, and then this is a technique most of in the world, in the spiritual world, more than 50% are using breath technique and then simple observing the breath. Many, many ways, different forms of it, but ultimately it is a breath, natural breath technique. There are a lot of things are there, doing various pranayamas and holding the breath, lowering the breath and all that. But here we're doing natural breath. Natural breath, so that when we're observing a natural breath, it is very, very simple. It is natural. And then two, we easily, it's a mind activity, but you easily forget that we are breathing, we are observing. Because just the way right now you are breathing, but you never even know. Same way, when we are doing observing the breath, then we simplest form of forgetting about ourselves. And also it has a science of why it lowers the thoughts. We'll learn that at a later date. So the process is simple. So for this, we are closing our eyes. Three things we are doing. We sit comfortably. You close your eyes. Comfort is important, not spine erect or anything like that. So you can sit on the chair, cross-legged at ankle, or your feet crossed at ankles. Your fingers are into fingers like this, and then rest them in your lap. And then you are closing your eyes. And we observe. That's the posture. The posture is that much. So simple cross-legged, fingers into fingers. Rest your hands comfortably in your lap. Eyes closed. Eyes closed. And observe your normal, natural breath. Take any point in the nose, maybe tip, root, anywhere. And then observe that breath is going in and coming out. Many people observing here or here at the right, at the center of these two eyebrows, right here or here. Observe that air is going in, coming out. And you can do that, and then slowly realize your breath is becoming lighter, and then slowly it'll be a point where either you forget about it, or it will also become so light that you won't have nothing to observe there. That's the time you would have gone into an emptiness state. It takes practice. Every time you get thoughts, you bring back your attention onto the breath. That is the technique of the whole breath mindfulness process. You get thoughts, you bring back your attention onto the breath. And slowly you forget. There will be a point where you forget, you don't know what you're doing. It's great. That's a great state to be in. I'm playing music as well as guiding. That guidance is used to cut your thoughts, come back. Our guidance is used to go a little deeper into a states of emptiness. But if you didn't follow guidance, it's fine. It is safe. I mean, it is absolutely fine to not follow guidance because you're already into a state where you don't know where you are. I mean, you are forgotten about yourself completely, right? And before we do that, we are doing something called heart to elevate our hearts with love, gratitude, joy, any of those heightened emotions, just by feeling them in our heart. So this posture is same. You are sit cross-legged. You continue in that. Your eyes closed. Continue in that. Observing the breath. Continue. But we're doing two extra things in the heart elevation in the beginning. You're keeping your hands here like this, and then while you observe the breath, you also put your attention on your heart, and then ask you to take a relaxing breath so that you can feel your heart. Relaxing breath, a long relaxing breath. Just very long relaxing breath so that you feel your heart. Do that 2-3 times. Then I ask you to relive a moment from your life of love and compassion, like the time you spent with a child, the time you took care of your parents, you took care of your neighbors, whatever that is that makes you feel loved, makes you brings that emotion into your heart. Love, compassion, gratitude, joy, appreciation, any of those. Okay. So we feel that and then spend a few minutes on that, a few minutes, and then we switch into this breath mindfulness meditation, which is this posture. So I will clearly call out. When I call out, you can switch to that posture. So as you relax with their energies, let's understand a little bit about the power of thought. And when we say thoughts create things, how is that happening? And what are the different type of thought? Those of you who attended the manifestation program a few weeks ago, it'll be a great way to recollect some of the concepts that we learned there. So let me share. In our Vedic sciences, we heard this far too many times, yad bhavam tad bhavati. As you think, yad bhavam, whatever that intent you have, is tad bhavati, that is happening. The same concept is now is being proven and is proved by quantum physics. The same concept. Now, quantum physics is proving that our thoughts create reality. The thoughts create things. So we will learn a little bit of this quantum physics. We always said everything is illusion, everything is Maya. Whatever we're seeing is not real. We hear this right all the time. I mean, that is what the Vedic sciences always have said. Our Vedas have said that it's all illusion. What you're seeing is only mere projection. That's precisely where quantum physics is proving. And I would like us to pay a little bit of attention. So the quantum field of possibilities is essentially saying that we are deep inside, we are energy. Deep inside, we are energy. Deep inside, it's an emptiness, and then emptiness, we are energy, not matter. You see two pictures here. Left side, an atom, which is like a matter. The way we understand an atom is, it's like if you take off a smallest sized ball, then it will be that, let's say. That is particle. That's how we think that we are matter. But in reality, quantum physics is proving where energy, that atom that we think is not really, not only it's a particle, but it also is a wave. Like what you see on the right side is like a wave. Then once it becomes wave, the boundary is no longer there for a wave. Right? When you have a particle like a ball, you know that, okay, you can draw a circle around the ball and say this is the boundary. Whereas for a wave, it is just spreading continuously, and then it's going, and then if there's another wave coming from the other side, then it is also meeting that wave. So the wave nature means that by default, it is oscillating, it is traversing, there's no specific boundary for it. So what quantum physics discovered, friends, is that deep inside, we are not only a particle, but we're also wave. So deep inside, we know that we are made up of subatomic particles. The atom is made into electrons and protons, right? There is nucleus where the center, you see the center light, and it is made up of some electrons like these dots, which is really what is there deep inside each of us. We are made up of these atoms, and then atoms comprise a molecule like oxygen molecule, I mean, oxygen, H2O, like water molecule, salt molecule. So these are all molecules, right? So you make things out of these atoms. And then from these molecules, we're made up of our cells. Our body cells are made, skin cells, liver cells. The cells have a lot of atoms and a lot of molecules. And now the cells make an organ, right? Our skin, our liver, our brain, our hands, legs, all these cells make up of an organ. And then organs make up a body. So at subatomic particle level, deep inside we are made of these electrons and neutrons, but then that is made up of an atom. An atom combined into multiple atoms becomes a molecule, like your water, like so salt and any of these, right? No metals. And then those combined together becomes our cell, and then those combined together becomes an organ, that combines together becomes a body. Now, if quantum physics is saying that at subatomic particle level, everything is both wave and particle. So this is they're wave, they're particle, they're both. And it is also saying atom is so much percentage empty. 99.99% is empty with energy and continuous exchange of information. It said number one, it is empty. So in this picture, you can see only those dots are where there is a little bit of mass, weight is there for that. Everything else is emptiness inside this whole atom. So it is proven that, as just by this picture, you say, okay, so much emptiness is there inside. And if atom is empty, molecules are made up of atoms, they're empty. Cells are empty then, because cells are made up of molecules. And if cells are empty, my organ is empty, and hence my body is empty. And what I see around is also empty. But however, ever since we grow up, and then ever since we've been the material world view is that we always identify ourselves with a boundary, because in material view is all separate. In the material view, we're all separate. So we're also trained that way. Ever since we graduated, then we say, hey, here's a mobile phone. Those steps, be careful. If you fall off, you put your leg on the side, edge of the step. So where the emptiness, we've been told that's not the thing. We've been told always to focus on things that are got a boundary. So everything is identified as an item. And so item means we have to separate that with something else. And for that, we have to have a boundary. So we end up focusing on a specific item, that this is what I want to see. And then that's how we see. That's what we then make of. So what it's saying is that quantum physics saying deep inside we're energy, deep inside that emptiness, and emptiness is got, what is that emptiness? Emptiness has got continuous, it's all filled with energy, and then that's what is there in it. It's that emptiness, it is transferring information. Continuous exchange of information is happening in that emptiness. That 99.99% empty, and then only a little bit mass is there. So where it is empty, it is all information and being transferred. And then what is the speed at which the information is going beyond speed of light. That's what they discovered. So, for example, when you think of somebody in United States, particularly India, then suddenly you'll get a phone call from them. And the reason that is happening is because this information, that thought, that is information, the thought is an energy, and you're thinking of it, that the information is traversing through this emptiness beyond speed of light, and then in less than sub-split second, it is reaching somebody else, and then somebody else also immediately picking up a phone and calling you. They're not aware, you're not aware what's happening. It's called telepathy. So what quantum physics is saying is that it's a big field of energy waves. Once you say that every atom is, every subatommic particle is got, there's all emptiness there, and it's all, they have the electrons have a dual nature of waves as well as particles. And once and then it's found that most of the time the electrons are staying as waves. They're not staying as particles. They are by default staying as waves. That means they by default are connected to each other. So in the universe, everything that's there, everything is just connected to each other as a single piece of wave, and then so that's energy. But the science discovered
that when we observe something, then that's when the electron actually becomes a particle. Until that time, it stays a wave, it stays of energy. And it is that wave nature that influences and manipulates this particle, right? So essentially, the sum of this is that the quantum physics is said that an atom can appear nowhere because it's become by default a wave, but then it can appear everywhere the moment you observe it. Wherever you want, you can you appear and observe. It shows up there. It is nothing because it is a wave, is not physical, but it can turn into everything when you observe it and collapse into something. So this quantum field of infinite possibilities. So with this subatomic particle level understanding, what quantum physics is saying is that it's a big field out there because everything is connected as energy wave, right? It's all big field. How big is it? Infinite field. There's infinity. That's why we say there are so many unlimited number of stars, right? I mean, they say 100 billion, 200 billion stars. There are big number of stars. And every star, I mean, there is 100 billion galaxies, big, any amount of galaxies, and then each galaxy has any number of stars, and each star has some planets. And it's all huge, huge, huge thing, right? It's field out there. So it's unlimited potential, unlimited possibilities, because now it is a wave. A wave means it is, because it's taking a dual nature, wave to particle. So the possibilities is infinite fields, infinite possibilities exist, and infinite potential, because a wave translating into a particle, so that it can become a particle anytime, and unlimited particles, because unlimited waves and so unlimited particles. So it can become a particle anytime, and the possibilities are many, because what is the possibility? If I take 3 atoms together and then make one combination, if I take 1,000, make a combination, if I take 1,000,000,000, make a combination, then they're all possibilities. Because so many particles, so many subatomic particles, all of them are there, they're all living as waves, and so they can become a pure potential anytime by physically appearing, and then there is so much possibility because you can make any combination of them. So now quantum physics discovered that observation manifests these possibilities into physical reality. When we observe them, and observation is nothing but thought and feeling, then it becomes an event. It becomes into a physical reality. So what we are collapsing at any given time into a physical reality, friends, is ultimately an experience. An experience right now, all of us are being together in this event, in this workshop. An experience of a birthday party. An experience of your work life over a period of 20 years, say, in a company. So every experience has a beginning, has an end, and it can stretch into a few seconds to minutes to years, right? It can be an experience, is a physical event, an experience, and that is collapsing with our observation. And how is it happening? It's basically a pattern, a big possibility of a set of all particles coming together, and then we're influencing with an observation. It is becoming a reality into the physical aspect. That's really how quantum physics expresses everything. And for that, they have done studies, and then they've shown that it is happens based on observation at an subatomic particle level. So I would like to show a brief video and understand how this happens, right?
Quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So when we throw things, that is matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. But we get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought, maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they could interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits, and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one, and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched. And it was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange netherworld of quantum events. What is matter? Marbles or waves? And waves of what? And what does an observer have to do with any of this? The observer collapsed the wave function simply by observing.
So what we understand, friends, from this experimentation is that when we observe, first it proves that the electron or the subapartic particle, we are waves as well as matter. That means the waves are energy. And then they've recognized through this experimentation that when you observe, when you put your attention and say, I'm looking to see this electron going through this slit, then it started showing up there in that slit. So this essentially is, this is how quantum physics is proving that what are you look to observe? If you're looking for a physical event of a specific type, in this case, they wanted electron to appear as a particle because the observer is looking for a particle, and then it showed up there. When the observer is not there, it's going as becoming a wave and then field of possibility, so it's going as multiple bands onto the screen because it can go and hit anywhere. So this is the basis, dear friends, for the whole manifestation science, that our observation, that is our thoughts. Now, what is observation? Observation is nothing but our thought, feeling, and environment. Our environment constantly is giving us sensory inputs, which are translating to thought. Our feelings are giving sensory inputs, which are translating to thought. So eventually, it's all the thought, which is observation, that is going and then influencing a specific possibility to happen into our life. And how much, what is the potential of this field? Infinity. So quantum physics is essentially reversing and saying there is consciousness of this energy first, and from energy, things are happening into the materiality. Contrary to the modern science that, things are happening only always as a particle, and then everything is deterministic. Now in the quantum physics, everything is indeterministic. It's not predictable there because it's all possibilities. It's a wave and then atom both together. It's not predictable. Here it is predictable world. And now this science is now explaining many things that are not explained before. Now, assuming that is where they start, that energy is there, we are energy, and what is that? What is matter at that point? Then matter is nothing but a set of events that we collapse. So if empty our mind, when we empty our mind, so when you empty our mind is nothing but full of experiences, right? They're all experiences of various kinds, and they're all there. So if you withdraw all of that from our mind, about our life, about body or health and everything around, when we withdraw all of that thought one by one, so we become what? We take the attention of the matter, so we become that energy. That's why many people experience that energy. But however, now what's happening? If observation collapse possibility, or observation is nothing but thought and feeling and environment, now is there something that we can do to change our thought and feeling? We'll take 5 minutes to explain this, and then we'll stop here today. So neuroscience comes in here at this point, the research. The research said that 95% of our thoughts are repetitive, and they drain our energy. They drop our focus. So we have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day. And 95% are repetitive as previous day. 80% are negative. Astonishing. Now keep on connecting to that. If my observation collapses possibility, and an observation is thoughts and feelings, and if I have 80% negative thoughts, then what do you expect to collapse into your physical reality? Negative experiences. The traffic is bad. We say with so much deep feeling as you set out to the office. What do you expect? You're going to expect to definitely see if today or tomorrow, a very congested traffic you have to maneuver through, right? So these repeated thoughts are strengthening the memory connection. So we learned this in the last class, that how the memory is being formed. And every time we repeat the thought, then it is strengthening that connection, that memory connection in our subconscious minds and conscious minds. So every time we are repeating a thought, the negative thoughts, and we said 95% are repetitive. So if you have 95% repetitive, your life, you can expect 95% to be same because they're repetitive. So you are merely collapsing the same things, right? So that person is not good. This person is not good. I don't have resources. I'm poor, and Corona is going to kill me, and then I'm going to get it. And then my neighbor is like this. So if that's all it is. My company is not good for me. Then all of the same things is what we continue to collapse and then continue to experience the same day in and again, day in and day out, the same thing, because 95% is same. This is research. This is research done with various surveys. So friends, now our thoughts, from there they produce various chemicals. Cortisol, not so pleasant chemical. Serotonin is a good chemical. Melatonin. So all these thoughts are going and are producing various chemicals which are producing feelings in the body. and they are collapsing various events into our life. Now, feelings, any experience that we experience, once it collapses, then we have a feeling about it, and then the feelings drive significantly more thought. So it's a loop. We call feeling, thought feeling loop, thinking feeling loop. Every time we have an experience, eating, we get a job, we have an experience. We go first day, we have an experience. So now with that experience, we have a feeling, and then when you go back and then recollect that, that feeling drives more thought. So every time you recollect a particular event, then you have the feeling, and that feeling drives more thought about it. That thought will connect you to go back to, say, past job and another job like that. Now we look at every first day of our job, right? There are all those things that come together. So thought, thinking, feeling loop is constantly keeping us trapped into this concept of reliving an experience of the past. And as a result, we keep reliving of the experience of the past continuously, or an anxious future continuously, based on what we read from newspapers. We project ourselves and say, oh, this is what is going to happen. Or they said that if they went to the restaurant and they got it, so if I go also, this is what is going to happen to me. We keep, again, reliving something. So 95%, dear friends, are repetitive thoughts that we have, and 80% are negative. And the repetitive means that mostly they're unnecessary. That 5% is only what is really useful by default and positive. Of course, meditators are changing this equation quite significantly. Now, from this, what we understand, if thoughts and feelings are creating reality, and if 95% is repetitive, 80% negative, then clearly we need to change them, right? If we can change our thought and if we change our feelings, and then of course the environment will be part of it, we'll talk about. Environment plays a role, but then the moment we rise above the environment and we can change our thought and feeling significantly, then we are creating a new reality. This is the foundation for manifestation principles of how are these thoughts coming, and how meditation is helping, and then what else I can do apart from meditation to change my thoughts and feelings, so that I can set my attention on clearly a set of objectives that I have, and then I want to achieve them regularly. So we all have many objectives, but that we do not carry through them is because we are trapped in this thought, thinking, feeling loop in the body. We're trapped in that, and we have the separation concept, and then we're trapped into these negative feelings, and as a result, we're not able to manifest anything that we set out. So we'll carry from here into the next class on Friday, understanding the subject more about what kinds of thoughts, and then how do you reprogram your thought, and then how do you reprogram that feeling. These two things very deeply we'll understand in the next class. Thank you very much.